Experience, though no authority were in this world, were good enough for me to speak of woe that is in all marriage. For, masters, since I was 12 years of age, thanks be to God who is for aye alive, of husbands at church door have I had 5, for men so many times have wedded me, and all were worthy men in their degree. But someone told me not so long ago that since our Lord, save once, would never go to wedding, that at Cana in Galilee, thus, by this same example showed he me I never should have married more than once. Lo and behold, what sharp words for the nonce, beside a well Lord Jesus, God and man, spoke in reproving the Samaritan. For thou hast had 5 husbands, thus said he, and he whom thou hast now to be with thee is not thine husband. Thus he said that day, but what he meant thereby I cannot say. And I would ask now, why that same 5th man was not husband to the Samaritan? How many might she have then in marriage? For I have never heard in all my age clear exposition of this number shown, though men may guess and argue up and down. But well I know and say, and do not lie, God bade us to increase and multiply. That worthy text can I well understand. And well I know he said to, my husband should father leave and mother and cleave to me. But no specific number mentioned he, whether of bigamy or octogamy. Why should men speak of it reproachfully? Lo, there's the wise old King Dan Solomon. I understand he had more wives than one. And now would God it were permitted me to be refreshed 1/2 as oft as he. Which gift of God he had for all his wives. No man has such that in this world now lives. God knows, this noble king, it strikes my wit, the first night he had many a merry fit with each of them, so much he was alive. Praise be to God that I have wedded 5. Welcome the 6th whenever come he shall. Forsooth, I'll not keep chaste for good and all. When my good husband from the world is gone, some Christian man shall marry me anon. For them the apostle says that I am free to wed in God's name where it pleases me. He says that to be wedded is no sin. Better to marry than to burn within. What care I though folk speak reproachfully of wicked Lamech and his bigamy? I know well Abraham was holy man, and Jacob too, as far as know I can. And each of them had spouses more than 2, and many another holy man also. Or can you say that you have ever heard that God has ever by his express word marriage forbidden? Pray you now, tell me. Or where commanded he virginity? I read as well as you no doubt have read the apostle when he speaks of maidenhead. He said, commandment of the Lord he'd none. Men may advise a woman to be won. But such advice is not commandment, no. He left the thing to our own judgment so. For had Lord God commanded maidenhood, he'd have condemned all marriage as not good. And certainly, if there were no seed sown, virginity, where then should it be grown? He spoke to those that would live perfectly. And masters, by your leave, such am not I. I will devote the flower of all my age to all the acts and harvests of marriage. Tell me also, to what purpose or end the genitals were made, that I defend, and for what benefit was man first wrought? Trust you right well, they were not made for naught. Explain who will, and argue up and down, that they were made for passing out, as known of urine, and our 2 belongings small, were just to tell a female from a male, and for no other cause. Ah, say you no, experience knows well it is not so. And so the clerics be not with me wroth, I say now that they have been made for both. That is to say, for duty and for ease in getting, when we do not God displease. Why should men otherwise in their book set that man shall pay unto his wife his debt? Now wherewith should he ever make payment, except he use his blessed instrument? In such condition as God places us, I'll persevere, I'm not fastidious. In wifehood I will use my instrument as freely as my Maker has it sent. If I be niggardly, God give me sorrow. My husband he shall have it eve and morrow. Now, sirs, now will I tell you forth my tale. And as I may drink ever wine and ale, I will tell truth of husbands that I've had. For 3 of them were good, and 2 were bad. The 3 were good men, they were rich and old. Not easily could they the promise hold whereby they had been bound to cherish me. You know well what I mean by that, pardie. So help me God, I laugh now when I think how pitifully by night I made them swink, and by my faith I set by it no store. They'd given me their gold and treasure more. They all loved me so well, by God above, I never did set value on their love. I governed them so well by my own law that each of them was happy as a daw, and fain to bring me fine things from the fair, and they were right glad when I spoke them fair, for God knows that I nagged them mercilessly. Now hearken how I bore me properly. All you wise wives that well can understand, thus shall you speak and wrongfully demand. Sir Dotard, is it thus you stand today? Why is my neighbour's wife so fine and gay? She's honoured over all where'er she goes. I sit at home, I have no decent clothes. What do you do there at my neighbour's house? Is she so fair? Are you so amorous? Why whisper to our maid, Bendicity, Sir Lecher old, let your seductions be. And if I have a gossip or a friend innocently, you blame me like a fiend if I but walk for company to his house. You come home here as drunken as a mouse, and preach there on your bench, a curse on you. You tell me it's a great misfortune to wed a girl who costs more than she's worth. And if she's rich and of a higher birth, you say it's torment to abide her folly, and put up with her pride and melancholy. And if she be right fair, you utter knave, you say that every lecher will her have. And if that she be foul, you say that she hankers for every man that she may see. For like a spaniel will she leap on him until she finds a man to be victim. And not a grey goose swims there in the lake, but finds a gander willing her to take. You say it is a hard thing to enfold her whom no man will in his own arms hold. This say you, worthless, when you go to bed, and that no wise man needs thus to be wed, no, nor a man that hearkens unto heaven. With furious thunderclaps and fiery levin may your thin, withered, wrinkled neck be broke. You say that dripping eaves and also smoke and wives contentious will make men to flee out of their houses. Ah, Bendicity! And yet of our apprentice, young Jenkin, for his crisp hair showing like gold so fine, because he squires me walking up and down, a false suspicion in your mind is sown. I'd give him naught, though you were dead tomorrow. But tell me this, why do you hide with sorrow the keys to your strong box away from me? It is my gold as well as yours, pardie. I think you'd like to lock me in your chest. You should say, dear wife, go where you like best. Amuse yourself, I will believe no tales. You're my wife Alice true, and truth prevails. Masters, like this, as you must understand, did I my old men charge and censure, and especially in bed had they mischance. There would I chide and give them no pleasance. I would no longer in the bed abide, if I but felt his arm across my side, till he had paid his ransom unto me. Then would I let him do his nicety. And therefore to all men this tale I tell, let gain who may, for everything's to sell. With empty hand men may no falcons lure, for profit would I all his lust endure, and make for him a well-feigned appetite. Yet I in bacon never had delight. Then would I say, good dearie, see you keep in mind how meek is Wilkin, our old sheep. Come near my spouse, come let me kiss your cheek. You should be always patient, aye, and meek. And since a man's more reasonable, they say, than woman is, you must have patience, Such were the words I had at my command. Now will I tell you of my 4th husband. My 4th husband, he was a reveller. That is to say, he kept a paramour. And young and full of passion then was I, stubborn and strong and jolly as a pie. Well could I dance to tune of harp, nor fail to sing as well as any nightingale, when I had drunk a good draught of sweet wine. Metellus, the foul churl and the swine, did with a staff deprive his wife of life, because she drank wine. Had I been his wife, he never should have frightened me from drink, for after wine of Venus must I think. For just as surely as coal produces hail, a liquorish mouth must have a liquorish tail. In women full of wine is no defence. This know all lechers by experience. But, Lord Christ, when I do remember me upon my youth and on my jollity, it tickles me about my heart's deep root. To this day does my heart sing in salute that I have had my world in my own time. But age, alas, that poisons every prime, has taken away my beauty and my pith. Let go, farewell, the devil go therewith. The flower is gone, there is no more to tell. The bran, as best I may, must I now sell. But yet to be right merry I'll try, and now will I tell you of my fourth husband. I say that in my heart I'd great despite when he of any other had delight. But he was quit, by God and by St. Jos. I made of the same wood a staff most gross. Not with my body and in manner foul, but certainly I showed so gay a soul that in his own thick grease I made him fry for anger and for utter jealousy. By God on earth I was his purgatory, for which I hope his soul now lives in glory. For God knows, many a time he sat and sung when the shoe bitterly his foot had wrung. There was no one save God and he that knew how in so many ways I'd twist the screw. He died when I came from Jerusalem, and lies entombed beneath the great rood beam. Although his tomb is not so glorious as was the sepulchre of Darius, the which Apelles wrought full cleverly, 'twas waste to bury him expensively. Let him fare well. God give his soul good rest. He now is in the grave and in his chest. And now of my fifth husband will I tell. God grant his soul may never get to hell, and yet he was to me most brutal too. My ribs yet feel as they were black and blue, and ever shall until my dying day. But in our bed he was so fresh and gay, and therewithal he could so well impose what time he wanted use of my belle shows, that though he'd beaten me on every bone, he could re-win my love, and that full soon. I guess I loved him best of all, for he gave of his love most sparingly to me. We women have, if I am not to lie, in this love matter a quaint fantasy. Look out a thing we may not lightly have, and after that we'll cry all day and crave. Forbid a thing, and that thing covet we. Press hard upon us, then we turn and flee. My fifth husband, may God his spirit bless, whom I took all for love and not riches, had been sometime a student at Oxford, and had left school and had come home to board with my best gossip dwelling in our town. God save her soul, her name was Alison. She knew my heart and all my privity better than did our parish priest, so help me. So it befell that on a time in Lent, for oftentimes I to my gossip went, since I loved always to be glad and gay, and to walk out in March, April, and May from house to house, to hear the latest malice, Jenkin the clerk, and my gossip Dame Alice, and I myself into the meadows went. My husband was in London all that Lent. I had the greater leisure then to play, and to observe, and to be seen, I say, by pleasant folk. What knew I where my face was destined to be loved, or in what place? Therefore I made my visits round about to vigils and processions of devout, to preaching too, and shrines of pilgrimage, to miracle plays, and always to each marriage. Now will I tell you what befell to me. I say that in the meadows walked we three, till truly we had come to such dalliance, this clerk and I, that of my vigilance I spoke to him, and told him how that he, were I a widow, might well marry me. I made him think he had enchanted me. My mother taught me all that subtlety. And then I said I dreamed of him all night. He would have slain me as I lay upright, and all my bed was full of very blood. But yet I hoped that he would do me good, for blood betokens gold, as I was taught. And all was false. I dreamed of him just naught, save as I acted on my mother's law, as well in this thing as in many more. But now let's see, what was I going to say? Ah, by God, I know, it goes this way. When my fourth husband lay upon his bier, I wept enough, and made but sorry cheer, as wives must always for its custom's grace, and with my kerchief covered up my face. But since I was provided with a mate, I really wept but little, I may state. To church my Nan was borne upon the morrow, by neighbours who for him made signs of sorrow, and Jenkin, our good clerk, was one of them. So help me God, when rang the requiem after the bier, I thought he had a pair of legs and feet, so clean-cut and so fair, that all my heart I gave to him to hold. He was, I think, but 20 winters old, and I was 40, if I tell the truth. But then I always had a young colt's tooth. Gap-toothed I was, and that became me well. I had the print of Holy Venus' seal. So help me God, I was a healthy one, and fair and rich and young and full of fun. And truly, as my husbands all told me, I had the silkiest quonium that could be. For truly I am all Venusian in feeling, and my brain is Martian. Venus gave me my lust, my licorishness, and Mars gave me my sturdy hardiness. Taurus was my ascendant, with Mars therein. Alas, alas, that ever love was sin. I followed always my own inclination by virtue of my natal constellation, which wrought me so I never could withdraw my Venus chamber from a good fellow. Yet have I Mars's mark upon my face, and also in another private place. What should I say now? Save at the month's end, this jolly gentle Jenkin Clark, my friend, had wedded me full ceremoniously. And to him gave I all the land in fee that ever had been given me before. But later I repented me full sore. He never suffered me to have my way. By God, he smote me on the ear one day because I tore out of his book a leaf, so that from this my ear is grown quite deaf. He had a book that gladly night and day for his amusement he would read alway. He called it Theophrastus and Valerius, at which book he would laugh uproarious. And every night and day 'twas his custom, when he had leisure and took some vacation from all his other worldly occupation, to read within this book of wicked wives. He knew of them more legends and more lives than are of good wives written in the Bible. For trust me, it's impossible, no libel, that any cleric shall speak well of wives, unless it be of saints and holy lives. By God, if women had but written stories, as have these clerks within their oratories, they would have written of men more wickedness than all the race of Adam could redress. But now to tell you as I started to, why I was beaten for a book, pardieu. Upon a night, Jenkin, who was our sire, read in his book as he sat by the fire of Mother Eve, who by her wickedness first brought mankind to all his wretchedness. Lo, here expressly a woman may you find, that woman was the ruin of mankind. Then read he out how Samson lost his hairs, sleeping his leman cut them with her shears. Nothing escaped him of the pain and woe that Socrates had with his spouses too. How Xantippe threw piss upon his head. This hapless man sat still as he were dead. He wiped his head. No more durst he complain than ere the thunder ceases comes the rain. Then of Pasiphae, the queen of Crete, for cursedness he thought the story sweet. Of Clytemnestra for her lechery, who caused her husband's death by treachery. Of wives of later date he also read, how some had slain their husbands in their bed, and some had given them poison in their drink. He told more evil than the mind can think, and therewithal he knew of more proverbs than in this world there grows of grass or herbs. Better, he said, your habitation be with lion wild or dragon foul, said he, than with a woman who will nag and chide. Better, he said, on the housetop abide, than with a brawling wife down in the house. Such are so wicked and contrarious, they hate the thing their husband loves for aye. He said, a woman throws her shame away when she throws off her smock. And further too, a woman fair, save she be chaste also, is like a ring of gold in a sow's nose. Who would imagine, or who would suppose what grief and pain were in this heart of mine? And when I saw he'd never cease in fine his reading in this cursed book at night, 3 leaves of it I snatched and tore outright out of his book as he read on. And eke I with my fist so took him on the cheek that in our fire he reeled and fell right down. Then he got up as does a wild lion, and with his fist he struck me on the head, and on the floor I lay as I were dead. And when he saw how limp and still I lay, he was afraid and would have run away, until at last out of my swoon I made, "Oh, have you slain me, you false thief," I said, "and for my land have you thus murdered me? Kiss me before I die, and let me be." He came to me, and near me he knelt down, and said, "Oh, my dear sister Alison, so help me God, I'll never strike you more. What I have done, you are to blame therefore. But all the same forgiveness now I seek." And thereupon I hit him on the cheek, and said, "Thief, so much vengeance do I wreak. Now will I die, I can no longer speak." But at the last, and with much care and woe, we made it up between ourselves. And so he put the bridle reins within my hand, to have the governing of house and land, and of his tongue, and of his hand also. I made him burn his book right then, oh-ho. And when I had thus gathered unto me, masterfully, the entire sovereignty, and he had said, "My own true wedded wife, do as you please the term of all your life, guard your own honor, and keep fair my state," after that day we never had debate. God help me now, I was to him as kind as any wife from Denmark unto Ind, and also true, and so was he to me. I pray to God, who sits in majesty, to bless his soul out of his mercy dear. Now will I tell my tale, if you will hear. Now, in the olden days of King Arthur, of whom the Britons speak with great honour, all this wide land was land of faery. The elf queen with her jolly company danced oftentimes on many a green mead. This was the old opinion, as I read. I speak of many 100 years ago. But now no man can see the elves, you know. For now the so great charity and prayers of limiters and other holy friars, that do infest each land and every stream, as thick as motes are in a bright sunbeam, blessing halls, chambers, kitchens, ladies' bowers, cities and towns and castles and high towers, manors and barns and stables, aye, and dairies. This causes it that there are now no fairies. For where was wont to walk full many an elf, right there walks now the limiter himself, in noons and afternoons and in mornings, saying his matins and such holy things, as he goes round his district in his gown. Women may now go safely up and down, in every copse or under every tree. There is no other incubus than he, and would do them nothing but dishonour. And so befell it that this King Arthur had at his court a lusty bachelor, who on a day came riding from river. And happened that alone as she was born, he saw a maiden walking through the corn, from whom, in spite of all she did and said, straightway by force he took her maidenhead. For which violation was there such clamour and such appealing unto King Arthur, that soon condemned was this knight to be dead by course of law, and should have lost his head peradventure, such being the statute then. But that the other ladies and the queen so long prayed of the king to show him grace, he granted life at last in the law's place, and gave him to the queen as she should will, whether she'd save him or his blood should spill. The queen she thanked the king with all her might, and after this thus spoke she to the knight, when she'd an opportunity one day. "You stand yet," said she, "in such poor a way, that for your life you've no security. I'll grant you life if you can tell to me what thing it is that women most desire. Be wise, and keep your neck from iron dire. And if you cannot tell it me anon, then will I give you license to be gone a 12-month and a day, to search and learn sufficient answer in this grave concern. And your knight's word I'll have ere forth you pace, to yield your body to me in this place." Grieved was this knight, and sorrowfully he sighed. But there he could not do as pleased his pride, and at the last he chose that he would wend, and come again upon the 12 months' end, with such an answer as God might purvey. And so he took his leave and went his way. He sought out every house and every place wherein he hoped to find that he had grace to learn what women loved the most of all. But nowhere ever did it him befall to find, upon the question stated here, two persons who agreed with statement clear. Some said that women all loved best riches, some said fair fame, and some said prettiness. Some rich array, some said 'twas lust abed, and often to be widowed and re-wed. Some said that our poor hearts are aye most eased when we have been most flattered and thus pleased. And he went near the truth, I will not lie. A man may win us best with flattery and with attentions and with busyness. We're often limed, the greater and the less. And some say too that we do love the best to be quite free to do our own behest, and that no man reprove us for our vice, but saying we are wise, take our advice. For truly there is no one of us all, if any one should rub us on a gall, that will not kick because he tells the truth. Try, and he'll find who does so, I say sooth. No matter how much vice we have within, we would be held for wise and clean of sin. And some folks say that great delight have we to be held constant, also trustworthy, and on one purpose steadfastly to dwell, and not betray a thing that men may tell. But that tale is not worth a rake's handle. By God, we women can no thing conceal, as witness Midas. Would you hear the tale? Ovid, among some other matters small, said Midas had beneath his long curled hair 2 asses' ears that grew in secret there, the which defect he hid as best he might, full cunningly from every person's sight, and save his wife, no one knew of it, no. He loved her most, and trusted her also. And he prayed of her that to no creature she'd tell of his disfigurement impure. She swore him, nay, for all this world to win, she would do no such villainy or sin, and cause her husband have so foul a name, nor would she tell it for her own deep shame. Nevertheless, she thought she would have died, because so long the secret must she hide. It seemed to swell so big about her heart, that some word from her mouth must surely start. And since she dared to tell it to no man, down to a marsh that lay hard by she ran. Till she came there, her heart was all afire, and as a bittern booms in the quagmire, she laid her mouth low to the water down. Betray me not, you sounding water blown, said she. I'll tell it to none else but you. Long ears like asses has my husband too. Now is my heart at ease, since that is out. I could no longer keep it, there's no doubt. Here may you see, though for a while we bide, yet out it must, no secret can we hide. The rest of all this tale, if you would hear, read Ovid, in his book does it appear. This night my tale is chiefly told about, when what he went for he could not find out, that is, the thing that women love the best, most saddened was the spirit in his breast. But home he goes, he could no more delay. The time was come when home he turned his way, and on his way it chanced that he should ride in all his care beneath a forest's side, and there he saw, dancing him before, full 24 ladies, maybe more, toward which dance eagerly did he turn, in hope that there some wisdom he should learn. But truly, ere he came upon them there, the dancers vanished all, he knew not where. No creature saw he that gave sign of life, save, on the greensward sitting, an old wife. A fouler person could no man devise. Before the night this old wife did arise, and said, Sir knight, hence lies no travelled way. Tell me what thing you seek, and by your fay, perchance you'll find it may the better be. These ancient folk know many things, said she. Dear mother, said this knight assuredly, I am but dead, save I can tell truly what thing it is that women most desire. Could you inform me, I'd pay well your hire. Plight me your troth here, hand in hand, said she, that you will do whatever it may be, the thing I ask, if it lie in your might, and I'll give you your answer ere the night. Have here my word, said he, that thing I grant. Then, said the crone, of this I make my vaunt. Your life is safe, and I will stand thereby upon my life. The Queen will say as I. Let's see which is the proudest of them all, that wears upon her hair kerchief or caul, shall dare say no to that which I shall teach. Let us go now, and without longer speech. Then whispered she a sentence in his ear, and bade him to be glad and have no fear. When they were come unto the court, this knight said he had kept his promise as was right, and ready was his answer as he said. Full many a noble wife, and many a maid, and many a widow, since they are so wise, the Queen herself, sitting as high justice, assembled where his answer there to hear. And then the knight was bidden to appear. Command was given for silence in the hall, and that the knight should tell before them all what thing all worldly women love the best. This knight did not stand dumb as does a beast, but to this question presently answered with manly voice, so that the whole court heard. My liege lady, generally, said he, women desire to have the sovereignty as well upon their husband as their love, and to have mastery their man above. This thing you most desire, though me you kill, do as you please, I am here at your will. In all the court there was no wife or maid or widow that denied the thing he said, but all held he was worthy to have life. And with that word up started the old wife, whom he had seen a-sitting on the green. Mercy, cried she, my sovereign lady queen, before the court's dismissed, give me my right. 'Twas I who taught the answer to this knight, for which he did plight troth to me out there, that the first thing I should of him require, he would do that if it lay in his might. Before the court, now pray I you, sir knight, said she, that you will take me for your wife, for well you know that I have saved your life. If this be false, say nay upon your fay. This knight replied, Alas, and well away, that I so promised I will not protest, but for God's love pray make a new request. Take all my wealth and let my body go. Nay then, said she, beshrew us if I do, for though I may be foul and old and poor, I will not, for all metal and all ore that from the earth is dug or lies above, be aught except your wife and your true love. My love, cried he, nay, rather my damnation. Alas, that any of my race and station should ever so dishonoured foully be. But all for naught. The end was this, that he was so constrained he needs must go and wed, and take his ancient wife and go to bed. Now, peradventure, would some men say here, that of my negligence I take no care to tell you of the joy and all the array that at the wedding feast were seen that day. Make a brief answer to this thing I shall. I say, there was no joy or feast at all. There was but heaviness and grievous sorrow, for privately he wedded on the morrow, and all day then he hid him like an owl, so sad he was, his old wife looked so foul. Great was the woe the knight had in his thought, when he with her to marriage bed was brought. He rolled about and turned him to and fro. His old wife lay there, always smiling so, and said, Oh, my dear husband, density, fares every knight with wife as you with me? Is this the custom in King Arthur's house? Are knights of his all so fastidious? I am your own true love, and more your wife, and I am she who saved your very life. And truly, since I've never done you wrong, why do you treat me so this first night long? You act as does a man who's lost his wit. What is my fault? For God's love tell me it, and it shall be amended if I may. Amended, cried this knight. Alas, nay, nay, it will not be amended ever, no. You are so loathsome and so old also, and therewith of so low a race were born, it's little wonder that I toss and turn. Would God my heart would break within my breast. Is this, asked she, the cause of your unrest? Yes, truly, said he, and no wonder 'tis. Now, sir, said she, I could amend all this if I but would, and that within days 3, if you would bear yourself well unto me. But since you speak of such gentility as is descended from old wealth, Till ye claim that for that you should be gentlemen, I hold such arrogance not worth a hen. Find him who is most virtuous alway, alone or publicly, and most tries to do whatever noble deeds he can, and take him for the greatest gentleman. Christ wills we claim from him gentility, not from our ancestors' nobility. For though they give us all their heritage, for which we claim to be of high lineage, yet can they not bequeath in anything to any of us their virtuous living, that made men say they had gentility, and bade us follow them in like degree. Well does that poet wise of great Florence, called Dante, speak his mind in this sentence. Somewhat like this may it translated be: Rarely unto the branches of the tree doth human worth mount up, and so ordains he who bestows it, to him it pertains. Take fire and carry it in the darkest house between here and the Mount of Caucasus, and let men shut the doors and from them turn. Yet will the fire as fairly blaze and burn as 20,000 men did it behold. Its nature and its office it will hold, on peril of my life until it die. From this you see that true gentility is not allied to wealth a man may own, since folk do not their deeds as may be shown, as does the fire according to its kind. For God knows that men full often find a lord's son doing shame and villainy, and he that prizes his gentility in being born of some old noble house, with ancestors both noble and virtuous, but will himself do naught of noble deeds, nor follow him to whose name he succeeds, he is not gentle, be he duke or earl, for acting churlish makes a man a churl. And therefore, husband dear, I thus conclude, although my ancestors mayhap were rude, yet may the high Lord God, and so hope I, grant me the grace to live right virtuously. Then I'll be gentle when I do begin to live in virtue and to do no sin. And when you me reproach for poverty, the high God, in whom we believe, say I, in voluntary poverty lived his life. And surely every man or maid or wife may understand that Jesus, heaven's King, would not have chosen vileness of living. Glad poverty's an honest thing, that's plain, which Seneca and other clerks maintain. Whoso will be content with poverty, I hold him rich, though not a shirt has he. And he that covets much is a poor wight, for he would gain what's all beyond his might. But he that has not, nor desires to have, is rich, although you hold him but a knave. True poverty, it sings right naturally. Juvenal gaily says of poverty, the poor man when he walks along the way, before the robbers he may sing and play. Poverty's odious good, and as I guess, it is a stimulant to busyness. A great improver too of sapience, in him that takes it all with due patience. Poverty often, when a man is low, makes him his God, and even himself to know. And poverty's an eyeglass, seems to me, through which a man his loyal friends may see. Since you've received no injury from me, then why reproach me for my poverty? Now, sir, with age you have upbraided me. And truly, sir, though no authority were in a book, you gentles of honour say that men should the aged show favour, and call him father of your gentleness, and authors could I find for this, I guess. Now, since you say that I am foul and old, then fear you not to be made a cuckold, for dirt and age, as prosperous I may be, are mighty wardens over chastity. Nevertheless, since I know your delight, I'll satisfy your worldly appetite. Choose now, said she, one of these two things I, to have me foul and old until I die, and be to you a true and humble wife, and never anger you in all my life, or else to have me young and very fair, and take your chance with those who will repair unto your house, and all because of me, or in some other place as well may be. Now choose which you like better, and reply. This knight considered, and did sorely sigh, but at the last replied as you shall hear. My lady and my love, and wife so dear, I put myself in your wise governing. Do you choose which may be the more pleasing, and bring most honour to you and me also? I care not which it be of these things two, for if you like it, that suffices me. Then have I got of you the mastery, since I may choose and govern in earnest? Yes, truly, wife, said he, I hold that best. Kiss me, said she, we'll be no longer wroth, for by my troth to you I will be both. That is to say, I'll be both good and fair. I pray God I go mad, and so declare, if I be not to you as good and true as ever wife was since the world was new. And save I be at dawn as fairly seen as any lady empress or great queen that is between the east and the far west, do with my life and death as you like best. Throw back the curtain and see how it is. And when the knight saw verily all this, that she so very fair was, and young too, for joy he clasped her in his strong arms too, his heart bathed in a bath of utter bliss. 1,000 times all in a row he'd kiss, and she obeyed his wish in everything that might give pleasure to his love-liking. And thus they lived unto their lives' fair end, in perfect joy. And Jesus to us send meek husbands and young ones and fresh in bed, and good luck to outlive them that we wed. And I pray Jesus to cut short the lives of those who'll not be governed by their wives, and old and querulous niggards with their pence, and send them soon a mortal pestilence.